Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, we are here. Brother Hamza, mashallah, our good old friend, mashallah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sorry I interrupted you there. I didn't know that you were going to give me such a lovely introduction.
So, alhamdulillah, we have been doing this podcast for the last few weeks now. I think it's been about 2 or 3 months now, alhamdulillah. So, we've been thinking for a while to have you in one of the podcasts as well. I don't know, we did discuss this quite a few times. So anyway, how do you feel being in a podcast? Is this your first time in a podcast?
Jazakallah khair. Yes, it is my first time in a podcast. But what's interesting is I've been watching your podcast and I'm thinking, Mullah wants me to be in his podcast, but I don't have much to talk about. There's much more qualified people and they've got a lot more to discuss than me. So if this podcast becomes like silent from this side, you could just throw something at me and let's...
No, alhamdulillah, we try to keep it very easy going, flowing, inshallah, and everybody has something to share. We can all learn from each other.
Alhamdulillah.
So anyway, how have you been, Brother Hamza? Everything okay, mashallah?
Alhamdulillah, it's been okay. I think we're just easing into this cold weather. And the weather's not letting us ease into it. It just throws us into the deep end one day with the loads of rain, and then the next day it gives you 10 degrees, then it gives you 5 degrees.
Alhamdulillah.
So alhamdulillah ala kulli hal.
With all that, alhamdulillah, we are very, very grateful to Allah for, giving us all the facilities.
Alhamdulillah.
We have all the clothes, we have the safety, we have heating, warm water, all the facilities, alhamdulillah. We can never do shukr to Allah enough.
Absolutely. I think at my house the hot water was gone for about 2 days, and that made you really feel that how much just hot water makes a difference and how many people don't have hot water, unfortunately.
That's why I'm looking at the situation the Ummah is going through at the moment, the Palestinian situation, which is in the heart and mind of every person.
Allahu Akbar.
Allah make it easy. And sometimes everybody is trying their best to do whatever they can. Like one thing I really was thinking about is, alhamdulillah, there was a march that went on just a few days ago. A very big march, and some of the people in government were trying to call it hate march or something. And alhamdulillah, it was a very, very peaceful march. I think over 1 million people were there in London, and it was very peaceful, very positive.
Very, very positive.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. On the other hand, there were hate crimes done by other people on the counter march or something. There were others happened from that side who were very, very less in number, I think.
I think the whole country knows who to blame for that counter hate march, right? So imagine she got sacked, I think yesterday, right? Monday, Suella Braverman. And it was because of her comments, the way she was talking about the peaceful Palestinian march. And I heard one of the organizers say, after paying due respect to the 11th of November, Armistice Day, we're going to go on march. So the funny thing is, there were people there, like veterans, and the videos are coming out, and they're like, absolutely do the march on Armistice Day, because you pay your respects, and that's it. You go on and discuss ceasefire, which is what Armistice Day is about. And then she had these comments which gave confidence to hateful groups, who then attacked the police officers. And then I think some newspaper outlets were mischievous, and they were trying to say that both sides were doing that, which was very untrue. It was definitely...
I don't know if you noticed or not, I don't know how true, but some of the articles that were going around about the arrest that happened in the marches.
I think that's what it was.
They were trying to keep on mentioning the pro-Palestinian thing.
Absolutely.
But they were saying pro-Palestinian march goes ahead and arrest happened in the counter march.
Yeah.
But all the photos was of the picture was all of the Palestinian flags.
Absolutely.
Palestinian people. So a lot of people commented as well that the arrest happened from the other side. And we were not even there at that time.
That is who it was. Yeah. It was the Evening Standard who did that, one of them. And they had put the Palestinian flags and that march for the arrests that were done on the other side where they were being they misbehaved quite a bit. To be honest, like, it just shows the state of the country.
Do you think with all this that is going on, all this Palestinian thing and everything, Islamophobia is increasing?
It's increased to an unprecedented level. So I know that you'll hear the statistics on anti-Semitism. That's increased. Then you've got Islamophobia that's increased a lot. So I've seen the number between October the 1st and October the 17th was 140%. And I got an email from somebody, and I don't know which context they were referring to, but they were talking about a 600% increase. Now, the thing is, the Jewish community have organized it. Not that I'm saying that it's easy to deal with anti-Semitism. Not at all. I'm saying the Jewish community have organizations like the CST that have been funded by the government. They got, I think, almost 15 million or 13 million pounds in total. They got an extra boost because of what's happened recently. But there's not much of a organization that's funded on that level. So you've got your men's, you've got your Islamophobia response unit for Muslims, but they're not funded on that level, number one. And number two, when there's more Muslims in this country, and so there were 6.5%, where something whatever million, but we don't have that structure and that narrative going for us. And I'm not comparing anti-Semitism, Islamophobia.
No, but do you think our government is not being fair?
I don't think the government is being fair on anyone. It's not being fair on the poor. So the problem with the government is, and it's not just the government, it's law. So one of the questions people ask is, if Islamophobia takes place, what is the legal route to prosecuting someone? There's actually very little you can do under the law. And this is the issue. This is the main issue. And this is what I'm sort of referring to. For example, anti-Semitism is treated under the Racial Hatred Act. So there's race and religious hatred, incitement to race and religious hatred act. Yeah. That's a law. But in that law, the way things work is this. If you be racist, it could be violence, it could be abuse, it could be, you're threatening someone. You would be prosecuted, and the prosecution would not need intent, which means they don't need to check your niyyah. Did you have niyyah?
Yeah, what's the motive behind it?
Yeah. Did you have niyyah to incite racial hatred? But when it's religious hatred, and the interesting thing is, anti-Semitism and racism, and even saying bad things about the Sikh religion fall under that category of race, because the Jewish people are a race. And the Sikh people say, we come from Punjab and we're all a race. So Muslims are from different races. So we don't fall under that category. So, okay, what's the criteria for religious hatred? Now, this is where it's unfair at the moment. Yeah. And it's not just Muslims, it's also Christians. For example, and I'll give you the real life example of it not working and people getting away with things. So, if you say all Muslims are terrorists or something like that, which is said every day, nobody gets prosecuted. Or you'll see them say something like,
anytime any Muslim does anything, immediately he becomes a terrorist.
So forget the actions and forget the media for a second. I'm saying, imagine Boris Johnson called niqabi women letterboxes. Yeah? So that's very insulting. But he can't be prosecuted for that. Or let's make it even more gruesome, and say that somebody saw a hijabi woman and he swore at Islam and said really nasty things. Okay, what would be the procedure of prosecuting this person? So if they were threatening, if there was violence and abuse, you have to prove intent, which means you ask a lawyer, how hard is it to prove intent? They'll tell you it's very, very hard. And I'll give you an example of something. So Eric Kitson was the ex-UKIP. He was a councillor for UKIP.
Like, for example, anyway, before we move on, before the march that happened a few days ago.
Yeah, over the weekend.
After the march, when people were going away, they were going home, etc. They experienced a lot of abuse at the train station or something. I don't know if you saw that video. They were being labeled all sorts of things. This is our country, and you guys,
Absolutely.
If you saw that.
Yeah.
So do you think that if a person go through experiences something like that, if a person, just say a random Muslim guy is walking on the streets, or a niqabi woman is walking on the streets, somebody says something to her, or somebody shouts at her very abusively, or even physically,
physically attack.
What do you think they should do?
They need to report it. They need to report it to the police. Look, the thing is, unfortunately, there's a lot of issue of.
Many people, they feel that if we report it to the police,
nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah,
and I understand that. So as I'm talking about this law, people are gonna be like, okay, so what's the point of reporting? What I'm referring to is things that happen and what law do they use to prosecute someone. So they might not use racial and religious hatred act. They might just do it because of the attack that they've done. Like there was a sister in
the crime itself.
The crime itself. There was a sister Zainab in Leicester. She was run over by a man, and because she was Muslim, because she was wearing hijab, initially it was taken as a hit and run. It wasn't recognized as a hate crime. So which is an example of how far we've come now. Now the police is more clued on, not as clued as we want to be, obviously in different parts of the UK. So going back to your question, should you report? Absolutely yes, no question. Okay, now there's steps that you can take to make your report worthwhile. So there'll be witnesses, there'll be people recording, there'll be cameras in the building. And I know at the time when you're getting attacked, you won't think of this, but there might, if you notice, a lot of the attacks that we know that happened, because me and you were at the march or going on the way back, it was from videos. So there'll be videos online, there'll be videos whatsoever, and you can forward them to the police to make your case stronger. But alhamdulillah, we've got organizations, charities like the Islamophobia response unit. Once you've made, so even if you haven't reported to the police, you can actually report to the Islamophobia response unit, who will then, first thing they'll tell you is report it to the police, and then give you the legal jargon and procedure that you need to follow. And let's talk about two scenarios. One where action's taken, so that means something's happened with your situation.
Something's come out of it.
So what happens when nothing happens? When nothing happens, it's a statistic. We in the Muslim community are very lazy. Because when you sit in Parliament and the so-and-so MP sat there and they're having a debate.
Like on that point, something that really comes to mind is, we as Muslims, like you mentioned, we are very lazy in these kind of things. But for the government or for people, like you're about to mention in Parliament, statistics means everything. Like a person who's making decisions, he just wants to know numbers. Inside. Now, for example, sometimes, for example, we need to show support to some people as well.
Absolutely.
Sometimes a person, he might have taken a big step over something, maybe to support a particular organization or support. The amount of criticism he's had because of taking that step, must have been huge. He could have put, like, on the other hand, the amount of appreciation he's got, he hasn't weighed. We really need to, when the time comes to complain, we need to be up there complaining, putting that pressure. 100%. When the time comes to somebody does something good as well, we need to be there appreciating,
100%,
supporting, showing our support. Like, to be honest, if 3 billion, how many Muslims are there in UK? 3 billion?
6.5% of the population, so I'm thinking at least 4 or 5 million.
So imagine, I think the last time, I'm not sure, 4 or 5 billion, maybe, it could be Muslim.
It's growing every day, as we know, mashallah. The akika's going around and all that.
So, but just say about 3-4 billion, 3.5-4 billion. So even if not all of them, even if half of them, get into the habit of putting some pressure, either good pressure or, if some MP does something good, help him, support him, say good words of content, send some emails.
Positive reinforcement. Thank you for
something, a box of chocolate, something good, so he feels that, I'm being appreciated, rather than say, that's his job.
Absolutely. Sorry, I'm going to go back to what I was saying, Maulana, if you don't mind. So, in a situation of statistics, why is it important? Statistics are so important. I'll give you the statistics latest. 3,452 hate crimes against Muslims, 2020 to 2023. And I can tell you, I've been in a room and I've said to people, how many of you have faced Islamophobia? I'll give you an example. 20 people put a hand up. And then I'll say to them, keep your hand up if you reported it. 9 times out of 10, either all the hands go down or you'll see 3.
So reporting in the business.
So imagine, even though people don't report, there's still been 3,452, which is double any other denomination. Double any other denomination. Shows you that if we started reporting the amount of hate crime we've experienced, the numbers would be far, far higher. And I want to go back to the story of Eric Kitson, because people will say, well, how do you know that you can't get prosecuted for religious hatred? And I'll give you the example of Eric Kitson. It's a very nasty example. I don't like mentioning it, but it's the truth. And what is it? On Facebook, Eric Kitson made a comment referring to Muslims, saying, hang them all first, then ask questions later. And the picture was a guy that's got a beard, dopey, wearing a jubba. He was getting spit roasted on a fire lit by the Quran, and the person that was roasting the thing that was roasting him was a pig, and astaghfirullah na'udhu billah had the name of Allah on it. So people reported this, and people say, this is another reason why we don't need to report. But no, we continue to report, inshallah. The Crown prosecution said, yes, what he wrote could be threatening, or is definitely like not very nice language, but we can't prosecute him. Guess why they can't prosecute him? The same reason I mentioned earlier is because you can't prove that he had intention to stir up religious hatred. So this is example and evidence of the situation in hand. So going back to what you were saying, regarding the Muslims of 4 million Muslims getting out there, being politically active. When you talk to a Muslim and you say you need to become politically active, you either hear a number of things. Astaghfirullah, voting is haram. Or you'll hear, what's the point, bro? It always has to end with a bro. What's the point, bro? And then you'll hear, nothing's going to change.
For example, last week or the week before, there was I saw it, or somebody found it in some little article somewhere in the corner somewhere. In Bradford, there was this young lad who wanted to attack a masjid.
Astaghfirullah.
How it happened a few years ago in New Zealand. He wanted to do some type of shooting in a mosque in Bradford. But we hardly heard about that anyway.
No, you won't hear it.
And if it's a Muslim, if a Muslim even thought about something like that, every second there would be news. So do you think our media is Islamophobic?
The problem is, can you say that outwardly or not? Allahu A'lam. But I can tell you something that they do, and this is a fact, that for every one moderate mention of a Muslim, there's 10 or more negative mentions of Muslims, or referring to extremism. I think the number is 1 for every one. There's 11. So the mention they make is not even positive, it's moderate. It's neither good neither bad, but there's 11 negative mentions. So there's definitely an issue on the reporting. There are individuals who are Islamophobic in the media. They're definitely individuals.
What about our government? Do you think our government is Islamophobic?
Well, if I don't know how many prime ministers there have been in the Tory government, So there's been Rishi Sunak. Before him who was it? I can't remember.
Well, I've lost count. I've lost count.
So Boris Johnson made a comment of niqabi women being letterboxes.
Do you think these kind of things from our government gives
oxygen? Yeah. Oh, it does. Of course. So look, you've got a lack of legislation that can prosecute people. Okay, so that gives them like more confidence. Then you got politicians who are speaking filth about different. Not Boris Johnson hasn't just done this for Muslims. So there's recently on the march where people put the picture of coconuts here, and the police are looking for that woman, saying that coconut is a racial slur. Boris Johnson called black people pickaninnies with watermelon smiles. Nobody's prosecuting him. So of course these things give oxygen to people. That is nasty. And not only that, he became the prime minister of the country regardless of the lies he told. So of course it gives people oxygen, and it gives a particular group like the seal of approval that, you know, what you're doing is actually good because that's what your leader does.
Like at this moment in time, on one side we have the Palestine situation.
Yeah.
There's no ceasefire.
There's no ceasefire. No.
Until now. And, so many lives have gone. Mainly children. Nearly 5,000 babies. The government seems, not bothered about it.
Not at all.
On the other hand, we had the Ukraine situation.
Yeah.
So how do you think in all these situations the Muslims feel? Like, what do you think are the things going through the minds of Muslims? That what is our government like?
So this is the thing. So it's a big, very, very, it's a big discussion. It's a very deep discussion, and it's a discussion from many different aspects. First of all, every Muslim that was going to march was told that you or anybody that was going on Armistice Day. So some people will come and make comments. You're being disrespectful. So Baroness Warsi said that my great uncle and great grandfather and so many members in my family fought in the war. How can you say to us that we're being disrespectful when at that time there was India?
We all part of it. Yeah.
We were all part of it. We were part of the Allied countries. So they almost when it's like saying something without saying that you're not really British. Number one. Number two, the Ukraine situation. Very sad. Life on any side, whether it's Israeli, civilian life, it is a big, big issue. And Allah teaches in the Quran. In fact, it was told to Bani Israel that one death is
one person, regardless, the whole humanity.
It's the death of humanity. So but the thing is, where is the difference? If you went to a school during the Ukraine issue, and it's still going on, and you had a Ukraine flag, you were applauded, well done, you're doing a very good job. But because of the comments of our ex-Home Secretary, because of Islamophobes out there, if a child drew a Palestine flag on the hand, they were told, no, you're not allowed to be, you have to be neutral.
No, I was speaking to some of the students here.
Yeah.
And one student who goes to college is about 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
Normally he comes late from college, so he comes late to Majusa. So one day he came early. So I told him, today you had holiday, you didn't go to college or something.
Yeah.
So he said, we got suspended.
Astaghfirullah.
So I said, what happened? She said, there were about 10 of us or something, we were just saying free Palestine or something. So he said, they've suspended us for a few days or something. So I'm thinking like, we are the...
This is a big issue. Number one, I think very important to mention to people generally, anything that happens, you need to get in touch with the Islamophobia Response Unit. Neither in America, neither in New Zealand, neither in any other European country do we have a charity like the Islamophobia Response Unit that will give you free legal aid. Nobody. So if you've been suspended from a school and you feel like it's because of whatever reason, and you feel like there's Islamophobia or racism or anything, get in touch with them and they'll provide you. Mala, I've been like a mediator in some situations, or a supporter for some people that have reported, and Alhamdulillah, where the Islamophobia Response Unit come, they go far and beyond.
MashaAllah.
They go
so
far.
This is the month of November is the month of
Islamophobia Awareness Month.
Yeah.
So people have asked me, why Islamophobia Awareness Month when the Palestine situation is going on? Why Islamophobia? And I tell them it's the same cause, and they're like,
true.
How is it the same cause? So Mullah, you're not like, so you've probably done a khutbah, or you've done the schools partook in Islamophobia Awareness Month. You can tell me, why do you feel like it's the same cause? What do you think?
Because at the end of it, we're all Muslims.
Yeah.
Yeah. We all share the same one body, one ummah.
One ummah.
But we feel the same pain.
Absolutely.
Whatever decisions are being made against Palestine, or we see lives being lost. We feel a part of us
is lost.
Yeah. So we feel that it's being attacked on us.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll give a wider picture. So there's the micro and then there's the macro. What's the big picture? Why would you continue to commemorate? I don't work for Islamophobia Awareness Month, but I'm doing events and I'm getting other people to sign up as supporters. And they're like, what about Palestine? I'm like, look, I'm part of that cause, but this is the same cause. They're like, how? And this is the thing. During, like we were just mentioning, Palestine flag, students getting suspended, that would have been unheard of if it was a different war, different country flag, etc.
Yeah.
Why is that not the same for Palestine? Very simple, because of Islamophobia. There's no need to go really deep. Okay, you want Muslim life to be valued as much as any other life, or you want, so when people marched on the Armistice Day, what's part of Islamophobia Awareness Month? Making everybody aware that British Muslims have had major contributions and continue to have major contributions.
Yeah.
So we are part of this country from the world wars, even going to the 18th, 19th century. Yeah. So once you make people aware of that,
I don't know if I've ever told you, but my great grandfather he's always a British. He always has a British passport.
Allah.
Like since early 1900s. I think he was born in 1908 or 1909 or something. So when he was about 5-10 years old, when British were ruling India.
Yes.
That time they used to go to different areas and they used to make passports for whoever wanted.
Colonize.
Yeah. So then he made a passport at that time, and then he got sent to some of the African countries, and so he never had an Indian passport.
So he's been British before any, like my grandfather came in the 1960s. So this is what I'm saying. So
we are like...
They can't get any more British than that. Anyways, and we don't mind British English breakfast and some English tea either. So anyway,
hash brown
and the national dish is chicken tikka masala. I wonder where that came from. Anyways, going back to this discussion, Islamophobia Awareness Month during this time. Okay. So people are basically saying you're not really British. We're telling them we're as British as you can get, right? We the Union Jack and everything might not be on our doors, but it's in our mind. We have a British passport. We are British citizens, and full stop. And that's what Islamophobia Awareness Month is. So if we want to march for Palestine and we want to call for a ceasefire for Palestine, and everybody is and everybody should, we can do that without any fear or any comments that people make that we're British or not. And less people will make those comments if they're more aware of the history and the contributions of Muslims here.
True.
But Mawla, I feel like I really need to mention and stress this point. There'll be a lot of sadness right now, but there needs to be a lot of happiness as well.
Inshallah.
Never has that many people got together in London for a cause, and people tried to make it a Muslim march.
Yeah.
And the nasty ex-home secretary hate march, whatever. But there was so much love,
alhamdulillah,
and so much unity from
like so many. This cause has united everyone.
It's united everyone.
Not only Muslims, non-Muslims as well. So the amount of non-Muslims that have come forward. They want to learn about Islam. They want to learn about Muslims. They want to learn about Palestine. They want to learn about Quran. Humanity at a whole. What does Islam say about humans, humanity, love? This has become a really humanity issue.
Humanitarian.
Yeah. Like not only for Muslims, for the whole. Like the world, it's become so clear.
Absolutely.
On one side are all the oppressors, and on one side are those being oppressed. It's just so clear.
Yeah.
Like. It's not about Allahu Akbar. So anyway, that is a very good point. Alhamdulillah. That we don't need to lose hope in it.
We don't. This is the thing, and the reason we don't need to lose hope. Allah tells us, after hard struggles comes ease, and I think this is going back to that mentality. Why do we vote? We need to do political activism.
Yeah.
Because this is a lesson for us.
On top of it.
Because this is a lesson for us. What's happening right now is a lesson. We've been so docile for so many years that we've not got any power. But people think, oh, we're only 6.5%. But you know that 6.5% is concentrated in areas. So we actually decide in our local constituencies who's coming to power.
True.
And there's no doubt about that. So I would give advices of, and I'm nobody, and this is the advices of our scholars from all over the world: get politically active, fight the fight of Islamophobia, so other than the Qunut Nazila marches and doing the dua, we need to report Islamophobia. That is part of
we
this
need to start reporting.
We need,
get active,
because look at that college student that you're referring to. I guarantee you, Mullah, has he contacted any solicitor? Very unlikely.
Very unlikely.
But we have that system. If your schools, your colleges, your workplace is being, and I'm not saying not if you've broken a law. Okay, so if you're a normal citizen, what advice can you do with Palestine activism? Go on MEN's website, men.org.uk, click on resources, easy read guides, read the Palestine guide. If you're a doctor, the Islamophobia response unit has written a guide. If you are a school student, MEN's easy read guides,
I've seen that one.
They've written a couple for schools. So read these things. And if doing that, because in a school setting it is a different situation from being in the streets, but that doesn't. The problem we have is people are wrongfully, because of media, because of nasty politicians, saying that if you support Palestine means that you want to kill Jewish people. It's got nothing to do with that. Or you support Hamas. It's got nothing to do with that. We just want people to stop being killed, whoever they are.
True.
And the Palestinians have been under oppression for years and years. So
7-8 decades now.
Report to the police, and if it's a school and it's a workplace situation, you need to contact the Islamophobia response unit. And inshallah, in the comment section, I'm sure our brother Thabit is going to put the description for the online link to make complaints.
No, if anybody has any questions or they've experienced any type of Islamophobia in any way, do share comments, inshallah. If anybody does need any type of advice on this regard, we are going through some testing times, and you've made some really important points, some really relevant discussion we've had. Alhamdulillah, may Allah reward you. Any final things you would like to say before we?
I'm going to sound like a broken record, Mullah, but I'm going to keep saying it. Report. There's not enough reporting that goes on. There's not enough reporting. Like
personally, I feel like whenever something happens, we feel that is anything going to happen? But to look at it from the things that we have just mentioned, it's like whether anything happens or not, it just builds the statistics. And according to the statistics, the decisions are made.
Absolutely.
So if we want decisions to be made, the reporting is key. But inshallah.
And God forbid decisions are not made.
But at least the statistics
have the evidence.
Evidence has
because people will ask, what's your evidence? And when we point to statistics, how much can they deny? Because going back 6 or 7 years, Mullah, I don't know, we're wrapping up here, 6 or 7 or even 8 years before, Islamophobia was denied that it even happened here.
But alhamdulillah, we've come a long way.
We've come a long way, and we've got a long way to go. And we need to stop.
But alhamdulillah, it's building.
So the reporting is basically stop looking at things here and looking at things ahead. And even if you want to look at things here and you want a resolution, you've got free legal support.
Alhamdulillah.
How much of a big help is that? Alhamdulillah. I can share stories, but we need another podcast for that.
No, inshallah, we'll do a separate podcast just on the experiences, results, etc. But alhamdulillah, I think we've highlighted some really important points.
Alhamdulillah.
And may Allah reward you for your time and everything. And inshallah, if anybody does have anything they would like to share, anybody has been a victim of Islamophobia in any way, do let us know. Alhamdulillah, we are not here to create any issues or anything, but we are here to support everyone in any way possible, and Allah make it easy for everyone, and Allah reward everyone, inshallah, and Allah take away all the problems from the world, and Allah make it a peaceful and harmonious place for everyone, inshallah. Jazakumullah. Until we meet again.
Jazakallah khair, Mullah, for hosting us. And I think in the comment section we'll have loads of lists of organizations people need to know about,
inshallah,
for this. Jazakallah khair.
Definitely.